Hey, so welcome back. Sure many of you have seen the video I did on the GHK Glock 17, this one, and the little history we did on the other type of Glocks that we've seen in airsoft, all the various systems. Tokyo Marui and KWA and WE, as well as the GHK and VFC. And we kind of went through the pros and cons of each type of Glock in airsoft and sort of the development process of where things have gone now. I thought we'd do the same with SIGs, because, or more specifically, SIG P220 series. So 226, 228, 229, etc. The older SIGs, not. We'll get onto the P320 striker fired SIGs later on another video. But I've been loaned a VFC 226 MK25 by a friend of mine. So I thought that whilst that's here and available to us, we'd look at these and go through basically the history of airsoft P220 models. So if I sit down, get out of the way so I can give you a bit more light, because the light's really weird today. We've got sunshine but hail intermittently. So where did it all start, really, with the 22 series of gas blowback pistols? I guess it kind of started with Tokyo Marui. So this one is a Tokyo Marui base, though it's I think it's a PGC slide and a Garda frame. It doesn't currently have a barrel in it, because it's one I was working on and sort of just never got around to really finishing. I need to get back into it. But so Tokyo Marui brought out their P226 quite some time ago now. It's probably a good 17 years ago, I would have thought. And their gas system obviously changed things. Prior to that, KSC had done a P230 and P232. Tanaka had done a 228 and a 226. I had a Tanaka 228, it's very nice, but obviously plastic. And then Tokyo Marui brought out their gas system, and everybody went for their 226. And then later on, the P226 E2 came from Tokyo Marui, and it was a very nice pistol. A lot of people using it. People putting upgrades into it, 9-ball upgrades, that kind of thing. KJ Works then joined in and basically took the Tokyo Marui design system but gave it a metal frame. For a short while, Sig in Switzerland, the firearms company, were actually licensing the KJ Works P229 as a training option on their website with markings. I did have some of the KJ ones, but I've got rid of them over time, because after that WE joined in. The WE brought out their 226s and their 228s and their 229s, and to be perfectly honest with you, the WE versions are actually nicer than the KJs, and I think it's one of the rare occasions where WE did a nicer job of the SIGs than Tokyo Marui did. And I know that's controversial, but it's just my experience. I've got 1, 2, 3 WE SIGs here. These were my workhorse pistols for years, especially this 228, which I'm sure you can see has got a real Hogue grip on there. That's certainly seen plenty of rounds, as you can see by the holster wear around it and things like that. And this traditional early series 226 from WE was my main pistol for years and years and years. And again, I'm sure you can see the holster wear on the slide from where it's continuing in and out of holster. Seen many rounds. This also has Hogue grips on it, real Hogue grips. Whenever I made a trade trip to Germany, to IDWA, I used to get some Hogue grips from Hogue there. And said a lot of my pistols at one time had Hogue grips. I find them very comfortable. They do add width, but I do find they're very comfortable with quite long fingers. So yeah, WE brought these out and they did a really nice job. Now the finish isn't that hard wearing. As you can see, there is some wear, but it's pretty hard wearing compared to KJ. And it's certainly nicer to feel than the Tokyo Marui one. One thing WWE did add was a fake firing pin at the rear, which makes the realism on these really nice. The metal isn't actually that bad. The performance is good, and the most important thing is they take Tokyo Marui upgrades or compatible upgrades. So barrels, hot rubbers, that kind of thing. If you want to change them, I think there might be a Falcon hot rubber in this one. Actually, I did go through a little stage of changing Falcons. No, this one's got an A+ hot rubber. That one's a stock, and this is my other WE226, which has got an original Crimson Trace laser, red laser grip on there. Didn't see quite as much use, but it's still a fair bit. And these performed fantastic. They really did. They were really good pistols. One of the better WE models for sure, especially at the time. Never had an issue with them. Never had a problem. I love the 228 form factor and the 229 form factor. I think it's one of the best compact pistols of its time. And before the Glock 19 became ubiquitous with everybody, the 228 and 229 series was seeing service across the world with various militaries and police forces and things like that. And it's very pointable, very easy to use. And again, it takes Tokyo Marui compatible upgrades for things like the recoil spring, the hot rubber, the barrels, etc., etc. A+ did a lot of upgrades for them as well, specifically for WE, and they worked really good. Then I got a KWA one, and the reason I got this is because it's the feel of this KWA is absolutely incredible. They've got the grip absolutely perfect. The frame material is really nice. The slide doesn't feel so good. The barrel's really nice finish to it. What I don't like is this the markings, the professional training pistol on that side, and it's got KWA M226 PTP on that side and Cal 6mm. I hate things that have the airsoft caliber on them. It does have the nice profile barrel compared to WE, which has the later profile. I don't know if you can really see, but it has a really nice finish on that frame. As I said, it feels really good, but I've got to say it wasn't as reliable and didn't have the performance, I feel, as my WEs. So this has actually barely been used. It did have its own magazine style. So whilst the WE uses a Tokyo Marui style magazine, and you can actually use Tokyo Marui mags in them, the KWA uses its own magazine style. As you can tell with the feed lips, they're very different. But yeah, very cool pistol nonetheless. So I did buy that with the intention of maybe replacing my WEs in use with it. As it happened, once I got this, I realised that it didn't like the cold as much as the WEs could handle it. It didn't really shoot as well as the WEs, so it didn't really get used. And as it happened, at that point in time, I started switching to using more Glocks anyway. So that's kind of just sat on the shelf. And that brings us on to today, which is the main reason I want to talk to you. This is the VFC manufactured Mark 25. Mark 25 in the real world is essentially the Navy SEAL version of the P226R, which is the railed P26. Some changes they made to that pistol to make it suitable for the SEALs. They have a non-corrosive coating, so they can use it in salt water, because SEALs swim in salt water, obviously. They changed the rail type to a more standard Picatinny, whereas the older Sig rail was a shallower rail. And they added the Navy SEALs anchor. Now, on this particular model that VFC have more recently produced, they've replicated this corrosive resistant slide colour that the Mark 25 has. It's a really nice colour actually. If you compare it to WE, which is a grey, this is more like a greenish grey, like a steel finish. It feels really good. The engravings are actually beautiful on it, really stunning. One thing that the WE lacks is there's no markings unless you've got them done, or you've got a HK3P version, which was their way of getting around licensing. Downsides to this is, again, due to the Sig Air licensing, there is a Cal 6mm underneath the dust cover there, which I don't like. There is this warning of not a toy, made in Taiwan, blah blah blah, which is frustrating. I think that I would have to try and cover up if I owned this pistol. Other than that, the magazine is now fed the gas from the top, so it keeps the fill valve out of the dirt if you're lay down or in dust and it's in the holster, but also for filming purposes, that kind of thing, it keeps the base of the magazine from having that gas fill valve, which is really evident on most gas pistols. So if you watch films, you can often see those. Obviously this doesn't have that issue. They are not compatible with TM/WE style mags. They won't lock in all the way, and likewise the VFC mag won't function properly, I don't believe. We'll try. Oh, it does. The VFC mag works in the WE, but not the other way around. And I wouldn't suggest buying the VFC mags if you're using WE. Use WE mags; they're cheaper and they're probably more efficient in that pistol. This one is actually really efficient in the VFC. I've taken some test shots with it. You hear that snap? Got a really nice recoil. Really nice recoil action, good snap to it, good cycling. The hop works really nicely, even though it's still a little bit greasy from the packet. It's giving a really consistent FPS. As I said, the finish is absolutely beautiful on it. Some people are really picking on this, saying it's not black, well, it's not supposed to be. The outer barrel is still metal, which the WE is too, but the KDA actually had a plastic outer barrel, which is a rather strange choice. Another thing that VFC do really nicely is they do fit a black inner barrel, which means from the muzzle end you're not seeing a big shiny brass barrel. Kind of just adds to the realism when you're looking down that end of the pistol a little bit. You're not seeing an airsoft barrel so easily. The decocker actually works very beautifully, and that recocks into a double action, and then the single action is a bit sloppy. So let's try the triggers on these and see what we've got. So on the WE we'll go into a double action mode first. It's a little bit of a sloppy take up, then it hits a wall, and then you've got that big creepy double action trigger, and then it lets off. And we'll recock it, go into single action, there's no wall there. So it's a good bit of take up, and then there's no wall really, you don't feel it, it just goes. On the VFC, try that double action again. It's a little bit stagey. I heard it cock and it breaks, so typical double action. If we try the single action now, heard that sear engage. I can feel that wall. The wall is right there. I can actually take it to the wall, so that's actually a more positive trigger. And then, oh, there's a lot of slop before it breaks. And then the reset, quite a long, sluggish reset. So very military feeling trigger, but certainly workable. Not as nice as something like the GHK Glock or even the Agency Arms EXA or something like that. Certainly not a 1911 trigger, but still workable. But as I said, it's a really nicely finished gun. The magazine's actually really efficient on it. It's pretty cold when I filled it up. It's still cold now, and I got 70 shots out of it over the chrono. It was doing 310 FPS on a .2. I haven't tested it with super heavy ammo yet, but it is able to lift the threes that I tried it for a couple of shots with, just to see what the range was like. They've got the markings nice. Unfortunately, it is a Sig Air product, which means they are harder to get in the UK. My mate had to import his. But being a Sig Air product does mean that you get your Sig Air Inc. Newington USA markings on the side there. You get your 9mm Para Sig markings on the side, on the barrel, and then those very nice Sig P226 markings that I pointed out before, and also the grips are actually marked with P226 and Sig Sauer, where on the WE's standard grips they actually say F226 on this side and on that side, and obviously there's no other markings apart from the 9mm para on the chamber. So there is advantages to this licensing, but the disadvantages for me are the Cal 6mm underneath, that writing there, and the fact that the UK distributor for Sig Air is completely and utterly fucking useless, and refuses to sell airsoft, even though he's the airsoft distributor, because they're more interested in the air guns. And it means they really bump up the price when they do get any in, and they very rarely get anything in. So UK stores are really struggling to get Sig Air. But if you can get hold of one of these, they're about £160 retail, I think. So that's not much more than you buy a TM for these days, and you've got a very nicely finished all-metal pistol with very modern gas system, very nice features. It does have that fake firing pin underneath. So that could go. It does have a really nice magazine with that top fill valve not in the bottom. I don't know how much the mags are. I assume they're going to be about £35 each, like most Sig Air pistol mags. But yeah, if you're going for a skirmish pistol, you're not worried about markings, that kind of thing, I would still recommend the WE series of P220 pistols, especially the 228 and 229. With that lighter, shorter slide, they're even more snappy than the existing the 226 model, the full size model. But that hasn't been gassed for years, and it's still cycling nice and quick, nice and positive with a good lock. So if you're going to just have a holster stuffer, you're not fussed on markings, go for the WE. I think TM at this point is pretty much discounted. Their Sig series have been left fallow. They're not really updating them. It's an old gas system. They're all plastic, and they're very expensive for what they are now. Unlike, say, for instance, the Tokyo Marine Glock 17 Gen 5, which is really nice. KJ, discount completely. Wouldn't even bother with it. They're pretty pants, to be honest with you. I've had a few of them. They're not as nicely put together as the WEs, shockingly. K2A looks and feels beautiful, but those markings are absolutely awful, and they just don't perform as well as the modern gas systems. If you want the best, then I would say it's going to be the Sig Air Mark 25 P226 from VFC. It's absolutely beautiful, and if you want a piece that looks and feels and shoots the best that you can get at the moment, I think in this price bracket especially, this is definitely right up there. Obviously there are more expensive versions like the Inakatsu and the Rikatsai, but then you're looking at steel pistols and they're 10 times as much, but and quite rare. But yeah, so for your milsimmers, definitely the VFC Sig Air one. For anyone else that just wants a holster stuffer, you're fine with the WE. And that pretty much sums it up. So if you've got any questions, please put it down in the comments. I try and answer every single comment. If I miss one, I apologise. I've had a couple of trolls lately, so they've had to be removed. Just, why don't you buy real guns? Oh, because we're playing airsoft. But aside from that, I do try and answer every comment. If you've got any questions on these, I'll try and answer them. Although I do have quite limited experience with the VFC one because it's my friends. It's just been lent me for the review. But I've certainly got a lot of experience on the WEs, a lot of experience on TMs, and a bit of experience on K2As. Hope this helps. Nice speaking to you all again. Hopefully, we'll see you all again soon.